Thanks so much, Jesse, and thanks all of you for being here. My name is Quentin Palfrey, and as Jesse mentioned, I've been involved with a group called the Voter Protection Corps for a few years. This is actually my sixth presidential cycle working on voter protection issues, and that's actually sort of where I wanted to start. I'm not sure if I can advance these slides. Let's see. There we go. The first thing I just sort of want to mention is that while ChatGPT and some of the particular challenges relating to our online environment are new, voter suppression, dirty tricks, disinformation are as old as our democracy itself. So those of you who are students of history will know that the first presidential election between John Adams and Thomas Jefferson was notoriously dirty. I first got interested in the voter protection space in 2000 in the wake of the Bush v. Gore election, when poor ballot design and voter confusion changed the course of history. And the next few years illustrate sort of how pervasive this problem has been. In 2002, the Republican Party in New Hampshire engaged in a criminal phone jamming scheme to try and disrupt the GOTV operations on a rival campaign. The next cycle, when I was up there working on voter protection, the night before the election, operatives slid flyers under dorm room doors in an effort to confuse students about their voting rights. That year, we saw really long lines in African American communities in Ohio, where folks had to wait many hours to vote. Many of them didn't get an opportunity to vote at all. And the reason I mention all of this is to say that these are challenges that we've been facing for a very long time. With that said, if you could move the slide forward, I apologize. The new digital environment has heightened many of these long-standing challenges. Online data collection, and we saw this in the 2016 era with the Cambridge Analytica scandal, but it has become supercharged in the last 8 years. There are huge amounts of individualized information that are available to bad actors. Generative AI, and I know we have Dr. Edelman who's going to speak a little bit about how to think about this, but generative AI has made it much easier to create convincing fakes. And then micro-targeting has allowed bad actors to really pinpoint the voters they seek to deceive. So with the explosion of generative AI and other new tools, the threat landscape has far outpaced the voter protection response. If you could move to the next slide. At the same time, we've seen the guardrails come down at the time when we need them the most. Some of this is a function of the legal environment. Some court rulings have changed the assessment that some corporate actors have made about whether it is riskier for them to be accused of squelching speech versus being accused of not doing enough to clean up disinformation on their platform. But whatever the reason, we've seen companies like YouTube, like Meta, like TikTok and X step away from efforts to police disinformation on their platforms. We've seen a number of public figures try and step into the fray. State legislatures, state AGs, the Department of Justice, others have taken some steps to combat disinformation and voter suppression, but most of their tools are very slow and are limited to clear-cut cases. So where that leaves us, if you can move to the next slide, is in a world where we need to combat these voter protection challenges very, very quickly. We've seen disinformation, online voter suppression, and fakes have a real impact very quickly. Just this week, we saw a deceptive video appearing to show that Pennsylvania voters' ballots were being ripped up. The FBI says that this video was created by Russian adversaries. We've seen deceptive content cause confusion right here in North Carolina in regard to FEMA's response to hurricanes. We've seen deceptive content with respect to the COVID pandemic and war in the Middle East. And I think what we learned from this is that this problem isn't going away. So this project, if you can move to the next slide, is a project of the Voter Protection Corps in partnership with a number of organizations across the country, which seeks to provide tools to partners in key states to provide easy to understand toolkits on essentially four things. Number one, how to understand the problem of online voter suppression. Number two, how to ensure that we detect harmful content quickly during key moments. Number three, what are the best practices for rapid response? And number four, how do we avoid making the situation worse? So as Jesse mentioned, we've got a great lineup of speakers, and I'm really excited to join with you today to work through this important question.